Before we discuss the creative modes, let's review the basic theories of exposure by using an analogy. The amount of light needed for proper exposure is like a full bucket of water. The water tap used to fill the bucket is like the aperture or opening on your lens. The duration of the camera's shutter speed is similar to the amount of time you'll have to leave the water tap turned on to fill the bucket. The wider the tap is open, the more water will come through the nozzle into the bucket. This means the tap will only need to be open for a short amount of time. If the tap only has a narrow opening, on the other hand, water will only trickle into the bucket, and you'll need to leave the water turned on for a much longer period of time to fill up the bucket. Aperture is related to shutter speed in a similar way. If the aperture is small, you'll need to have a slower shutter speed to gather enough light to create the proper exposure. If the aperture is large, however, you'll need to have a faster shutter speed to create the same effect. It's important to know that the shutter speed doesn't only affect the exposure, it also affects an image's clarity when you're shooting action scenes. A fast shutter speed will freeze a moving object. Fast shutter speeds are good for shooting subjects that move quickly, such as athletes. And a slow shutter speed will blur a moving object. This can be good if you're trying to capture the movement of water or streaks of light at night. It's also important to understand the secondary effects of aperture. A small aperture not only allows less light to reach the image sensor, but it also makes the entire scene appear sharper and more in focus. Understanding depth of field will help give you more creative control over your photography and the know-how to take your pictures to an advanced level.